Welcome back, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast. Matt's not here, so I get to say it, where we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. Today on the Less is More Sports Podcast, we're going to talk about portal, and more portal. We have a lot of storylines to talk about in the college basketball and college football transfer portal, which is going to officially kick it off to my first question I have for Ryan. Which transfer portal has had the bigger headlines? Has the college basketball transfer portal had the bigger headlines, or the college football transfer portal had the bigger headlines? If you need a second, that's cool.
I think I'm thinking because what part of the college basketball portal are we in? Like, are we probably in the middle? Are we a little bit towards the start, or are we?
We're
Because
kind of in the middle because it closes in a few days. So like nobody can in I mean people can still like change and
yeah,
go to different places, but like you if you're going to enter the portal, you have a couple days to do so.
yeah. So I feel like there could still be some more in college basketball, but it's got to be college football with Nico, with some of the really good players that have entered the portal, and it feels like we already covered. Well, we did cover a little bit of it, but there's still good players that enter the portal during the winter that are big headlines, and now we're in the spring part of the portal, which a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people like, but yeah, I think it's definitely college football with it's basically all mainly Nico and what he's doing.
No, I agree. Nico has almost single-handedly made the college football transfer portal the bigger headline right now. And it's honestly been a very interesting power dynamic that we're seeing in this new age of NIL and transfer portal. We're seeing, power go back to the players. And Matt and I, and I'm sure you too, are in favor of power being in the players' hands. However, I got to give Tennessee a ton of credit for standing their ground on this one because
Yes, I wanted to say this too. You go ahead.
no, basically I was gonna say like Nico and his party, his camp, whatever you want to call it, they want apparently like $4 million. Well, the problem is he hasn't played worth $4 million. And it's good on Tennessee to be like, no, you're gonna earn what you make, and if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. And that's what's happening. So I mean, I think it's good on Tennessee for standing on business. Shout out to Josh Heppel for standing on business on this one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all props to Tennessee. They deserve a round of applause. They said if you're gonna be more than the team, then we don't need you. We need a team player. We need a quarterback that is gonna bring the locker room together, not be the guy that tears the locker room apart because he wants more for himself than the team. So props to Tennessee. That does honestly screw them unless they get a big time transfer portal player because we already are in the spring and so yeah, I mean they don't really have a quarterback. They got a young George McIntyre who I'm not sure how good is right now, and I'm sure they have a couple other quarterbacks, but not having Nico screws them. But props to them for putting their foot down, saying that you're not going to be more than a team. You have to be a team player to play for us.
Well, they do also have Jake Merklinger too. I mean, and that's the thing is Tennessee has had some very talented quarterback prospects come in even post Nico Iamaleava. So I don't think they're in a better situation than maybe a lot might think initially, but no, I'm definitely if in a perfect world, Nico would have been happy with his $2.5 million that he was getting and stuck around. But with given this is the situation in the world we live in, I don't think they're in as bad a shape as I think a lot of people want to think, but that's just my
Um,
personal opinion.
Speaking of player wanting a lot of money, I'm sure you heard this story. The Syracuse wide receiver was asking for $2 million, and is the coach for Syracuse Fran Brown? Is that his name?
I'm gonna double check that. I believe so. I'm checking right now. Yes.
Okay, yes, Fran
Well,
Fran Brown.
technically they have two. They have two guys that act as the head coaches, Fran Brown and Dino Babers.
Okay, well, so I know it's for sure Fran Brown who I'm talking about. He was like He was like, "I ain't paying you $2 million." That the only person getting $2 million is the homie at Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith. And so, I mean, it's just hilarious because the way he responded to his receiver wanting $2 million for not playing like a $2 million receiver, he was just getting greedy, and the coach was not having it. Which I love that type of coach. He's gonna put his foot down. And he's gonna tell you what it's about.
Leave it to the Ohio State fan on this podcast to make it a point to talk about Jeremiah Smith during this
Well,
podcast.
I mean, why not? He should be in every podcast.
Just instead of the Less is More sports podcast, just have the Jeremiah Smith podcast now. Is that what you're saying?
Jeremiah Smith is more.
Just go ahead and oh wow, and go ahead and give him a gold jacket. He's already a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Smith.
I, I figured you were going to talk about Jeremiah Smith because I don't know what's been on, your timelines recently on social media, but I've just been seeing a lot of people just glazing Jeremiah Smith as of recently. I
Oh,
don't really know
yeah,
why, but
yeah, they're gonna do it. They've been doing that this whole off season, and and it's a lot of trolling stuff. Like I don't know, some people do glaze him, I guess, but some people are just like saying that on purpose. One of the funniest people to watch on YouTube and TikTok is Janky Rondo. If you've ever seen his
Janky
video,
Rondo,
yeah, just trust. He is one of the funniest guys. He
you
was like,
have to be with a name like that.
he saw a practice clip, and he was like, "I'm just wondering, y'all, why is he built like this?" And he was like, "Oh my god," he was saying all this funny stuff about JJ because he reacts to a lot of his videos. He did a lot of the in season like game highlights of Jeremiah Smith, and it's always hilarious to watch. But yeah,
Fair enough. And while we're on the college football transfer portal, I don't know who pissed off Steve Sarkisian this week, but Texas has actually been on a heater in the portal right now. First things first, they got Emmett Mosley, the wide receiver from Stanford, who had a very good rookie year. I did a video on that on the side quest on the TikTok and the YouTube shorts. But then this is one that I think a lot of Texas fans were in favor of. Bert Auburn entered the transfer portal, and then
dang it.
they bring in Mason Shipley. I know you don't have to rely on anybody for missing kicks when we play up in Columbus in August, but and then so Bert Auburn's out, Mason Shipley is in. Then the tight end from Cal, Jack Injuries comes in, and then Levon Johnson, another defensive lineman from Maryland, comes in, which is crazy because that's the one area that Texas has really brought in through the portal is the defensive line. I mean, of course, we talk about Levon Johnson, but then, we also talk about a lot of other guys that have come in just on the defensive line. I mean, you can never have enough depth on that defensive line. We have, your guy Hero Canoe from Ohio State. We have, Travis Shaw from North Carolina, um, Cole Brevard from Purdue. I mean,
Yeah.
they've done a pretty good job bringing in more depth through the defensive line, which is something that needed to happen. With guys like Bill Norton and all them going pro after this year.
Yeah, and yeah, and Ohio State actually their biggest need is defensive line. Well, defensive line and some some edge rushers. We have Bo Atkinson from North Carolina visiting right now, and he was a very good. He's a edge rusher, very good edge rusher at North Carolina, and I really hope we can get at least one or two. We need a defensive tackle for sure. I would love to go after David Stone because I mean, he's a 5-star prospect in the transfer portal, which I mean, take it, take it what it's worth. Like ratings in the transfer portal is sometimes it's off and not right because there's been some low rated transfers that have been really good, but I would love to go after him because we really need the depth, and he was a very highly rated prospect and had a good freshman year. But yeah, we're in really need of. defensive tackle and defensive line.
I'm a little surprised that Texas hasn't gone after a cornerback in the transfer portal. Um, don't get me wrong, anytime you have guys like Michael Taft coming back and, Derek Williams is coming back from injury, but those are both safeties. But when you lose someone like Jade Barron, you lose someone like Andrew Makuba to the draft. I mean, that's a lot of production that Texas is going to have to replace. So, and maybe they are confident with the DBs that they have coming in. I know from a safety standpoint, I'm okay because, like I said, Taft comes back, Derek Williams is coming back from injury, but that's hit or miss. He's coming off of an ACL injury. That's either going to go really good or really bad, not really much room in between. Um, they have two really good freshman safeties. One that just made his baseball debut for the Longhorns yesterday in Jonah Williams. But then we also have a talented, sophomore in Xavier Filsame. So safety, I'm okay. But cornerback is one that I'm kind of surprised Sark didn't test the waters and go after. Either he's got a lot of confidence in, Kobe Black to be able to come in and step in for Jade Barron and Malik, and he's expecting Malik Muhammad to come in and take that junior year step, which I think can. But I am just still a little surprised that he didn't go after a corner in this transfer portal.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, I forgot that there was a rule if you enter now that you can't enter. Well, if you're from the SEC, you enter now, you can't go to another SEC team. So it looks like David Stone would be going to a different conference team and not SEC. So that'd be interesting. Obviously, Oregon's probably going to be up there because when are they not? Because they have unlimited money. But I would love for Ohio State to try to get him and maybe to try to get any other needs that we need in the portal late in the spring portal.
Shout out to Phil Knight for that unlimited NIL funds.
Yeah. I mean, unlimited.
I mean, yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. Unlimited. When you got that kind of money, I mean, you can just pay for whoever you want. Oregon, just a fun
Still not
fact.
winning a national championship, so I don't know.
Ooh, I'm here for it.
Phil Knight's doing his job, okay? It comes up to the program, the schemes, and the talent.
I'm gonna laugh if Oregon wins the national title next year just because you said that.
Yeah, they could, but we'll see how legit Dante Moore is.
Yeah. Is he even for sure gonna be the starter?
Um, I think so. Because all the players are kind of glazing him, talking how he's going to be like how he's going to win the Heisman. But it's also, I think his name is like Austin Novosad or something like that. Is their backup, and they have
Yeah.
a couple of quarterbacks.
I kept
But
thinking they got another guy through the portal, but yeah, Dante Moore looked like he's the clear-cut front runner to win the Oregon starting job. Yeah, there's Austin Novosad, Luke Moga. Yeah, not no guys that I'm really thinking are gonna start over
are you
Dante Moore.
getting nervous about Oklahoma
A little
yet?
bit, a little bit,
That's
because
good. I mean, they
no,
just got Jaden Ott. That was
yeah, they
one.
got Jaden Ott, the running back. I mean, that's crazy because this is gonna be, I think, the best running back quarterback duo that Brent Variables. I know it's something we like to say on the podcast a lot, but Brent, in all seriousness, this is going to be the best running back quarterback duo that Brent Venables has had since he's been at Oklahoma. And John Mateer, I'm hearing he could be the quarterback that really puts Oklahoma back on the map. But that's the thing is Brent Venables has shown that unless he has like a really good quarterback running the show, like he's not been up to par for Oklahoma standards. But if Mateer is everything that he's made out to be, and he comes in and has the season that many expect him to have, Oklahoma's going to be right back in it next year.
Yeah, for sure. I think that they've really made a jump from last year to this year with the transfer portal, and I think they'll be a very solid team, and the Red River Showdown will be a very interesting game, like it always is.
Well, it
But
wasn't interesting last year at all.
well, yeah, but past years, like when Caleb Williams and Bijan were all going crazy,
And Caleb's was crazy
and
because
Dylan
that was
Gabriel,
do what?
like the game with Dylan Gabriel, that was a good one.
Yeah, when Dylan Gabriel went absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
Which I think, not to foreshadow too much, I think Dylan Gabriel is a very underrated NFL quarterback prospect, but that's beside the point.
We will see it, and we will see in less than a week of where
He lands.
Yeah, we will do something like that once the NFL draft happens. You and I will talk about the best players leaving college football and officially starting their NFL journey. Kind of do what we did last year and talk about what players you think will be even better at the NFL level, what players you think won't replicate the same success in college that they will at the NFL level. But anyways, I think we've talked enough about the college football transfer portal. We got to get into this crazy college basketball transfer portal, and we got some really big names in it. PJ Haggerty is entered the portal. Of course, Xavian Lee went to Florida. Ian Jackson's in the portal. Still got Darian Williams. Pop Isaac's going to Houston. Which player do you want to talk about first?
uh I'm not sure, but I know that PJ Haggerty, I think he wants like $4 million for
Hmm.
where he's a very good player, by the way. Had a very good season playing at Memphis, but so whoever he goes to is going to be willing to pay for sure.
Watching PJ Haggerty at Memphis reminds me of that former Kevin Hart skit, Let Me Explain, where he's like, help me. Because playing at Memphis this year, it's like he had very little help. I mean, either he went off or they lost games. And surely, even $4 million aside, I'm sure he wants to go to a team that's actually going to produce around him as well. And I'm looking at some of the top five potential landing spots for PJ Haggerty, and they include Alabama, Kentucky. I really hope he doesn't go there. That would be an absolutely loaded. Ooh, Texas is a possibility. Kansas
It's not.
State,
Just don't worry, it's not.
it's not. And then the Providence, which that would be interesting if he goes to Providence.
So looks like PJ Haggerty is already the number two player in the portal,
Uh,
and we're still looking to see where RJ Lewis goes. And wow, it says Ian Jackson is Cristobal 100% to
St. John's, yeah. Which that's going to be an interesting combination. I can see Ian Jackson to St. John's going either really well or really bad, and I don't see an in between there because I can just looking at the type of player he is. I have questions on whether he's going to want a full court press for 40 minutes the way Rick Pitino teams are often coached, but at the same time, if you can get, if that full court press can force a lot of turnovers and he can leak out and get out in transition, I think it's going to go really well. So I think that if he does go to St. John's, I think it either goes really good or really bad and no in between.
I think one of the more interesting ones because of how old this guy is, Chad Baker Mazzara.
Yeah,
Uh,
where's he favored to go right now, Ryan?
well, I don't know, but he did take a vacation to or a vacation with Case and Pryor, so
Mm-hmm.
that could be very interesting. I would welcome him with open arms. I know I've heard things where he is absolutely nuts, and I hope Pat Kelsey can keep that under control. I would like because I think he's a good player, and he's a veteran. I mean, he's probably the oldest player college basketball has ever seen.
He's not, but that's beside the point.
Um, he's better than any Duke player's ever had. I
Oh,
mean,
you're funny. Oh, Ryan came up and got jokes.
uh, but
This question:
yeah, I mean, I would like.
How much did Cooper Flag score on him last year?
I don't remember. I mean, I watched that game, but um, do you mean Pooper Flag with an H?
I mean the player of the year, but yeah,
Pooper Flag? Um,
the future number one overall pick, the best Duke freshman of all time.
good luck on the Wizards, Cooper.
Hey, he may not be going to the Wizards. I'm hearing that the Jazz might be the front runner to get the number one pick now. But of
He
course, it's
can
all a lottery.
team up
We
with
won't
Kyle
know till
Filipowski.
lottery night.
He can team up with Kyle Filipowski, and they got some young stars, like well, young players. They got whatever his name is from USC last year.
Isaiah Collier.
Yeah, Isaiah Collier. They had Cody Williams, who I think you were completely right about. I think he was one of your bust players.
And yeah, look at him.
Yeah, but
Keontae George is still in the Jazz, isn't he?
oh yeah, him too. And they still got Walker Kessler.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I'm interested to see where Chad Baker Mazara goes, and that could also be like him going to vacation. Could also be like, what if Case and Pryor decides to enter the portal and go somewhere else? And but I would like to have them back, and I'm kind of out on on Nadement just because how long it's taken and how he keeps delaying like his recruitment. He's crystal ball Tennessee right now, but
I kind of used to have mixed emotions about that, but I think watching the Jordan Brand Classic last night, I think one of the announcers made a great point is that he's really trying to see where everybody ends up in the portal to where he can have the most impact
yeah.
on a team next year, which it makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's from a fan perspective, it's annoying. You wish you would just hurry up and make a decision. But at the same time, I mean, with all these moving pieces, it's like I need to go out and see what team is going to invest the most in me.
Um, and not to bring him up again, but this was one of the hardest, well, one of the craziest. Uh, like you try to hold on so hard recruitments. Jeremiah Smith's recruitment. I mean, I've been through that. That
Oh,
was
here we go
one
again.
of the toughest recruitments to wait on because it felt like it took years to get him to commit. Well, with like all the schools trying to get him because of how good of a player he is. But can you talk real quick? I know you've already covered them on TikTok, but Purdue knows what the transfer portal is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that was actually
they're
a
cooking.
recruit. That was a recruitment. But yeah,
Well, well, like Oscar Clough, like
yes, yes,
guy
yes,
like
yes.
that. Like they're cooking.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Omer Mayer
Oh no, like
because yeah, that was a recruit.
yeah, they got some. They found out they're like it's kind of like Clemson football. Like they found out what the transfer portal is, and now they're getting players in that will help them next season, and they're really a team to watch out for with returning like Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, uh, Trey Kaufman, Wren. Like they're going to be a very solid team under Matt Painter next year, and one of the definitely Indiana better watch out for the Purdue Boilermakers.
Well, I mean, more like I don't know. I've been seeing some of these moves Indiana's making. Purdue might have to watch out for them. Of course,
It'll be
Matt's
a
not on the show to defend himself, but he's always been one to say that he's never going to be sold on who comes in until it actually takes the court, which I understand. And Indiana is currently second in the Big Ten as far as transfer portal rankings go.
yeah.
And
Unfortunately, Michigan's first, so and they have very good players coming in. Day Mara, uh,
but yeah,
Axel Williamsburg.
Purdue is actually 14th in the Big Ten. Liam Murphy and Oscar Clough.
Yeah,
But then they lose Cam Heide, Miles Colvin, and Will Berg, Brian Waddle. Guys, I mean, the last two guys didn't really play a lot last year, but Miles Colvin and Cam Heide, I think, are big.
Cam, Will
Which thanks
Berg
for
is like
Cam Heide, by the way.
Cam Heide.
Yeah, went to Texas.
Oh,
Wow. Ryan just woke up and chose violence today. I'm
I
low
mean,
key kind of here for it.
we have over 100 days till our game, the rematch. So it's horns down through the summer and through the fall.
I mean, I would just love it if, Texas goes into the shoe and, beats you
Look,
all, beats the defending
it
champs.
wouldn't surprise me if we lost. It's first game with a new quarterback with I don't know, I've been hearing rumors that Arch Manning or Peyton Manning is trying to get Arch Manning to go to Tennessee to help them.
Where did you hear that? The Onion?
No, I just circulating rumors. It's in the cloud. It's been hearing that.
It's from Tennessee message boards, isn't it? No reliable source there.
It's actually straight from Alan Northcutt's mouth.
This guy.
He actually told me to say that. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna have to talk to him after the show about that one.
Yeah. Um.
No, yeah, I'll put any of those rumors to bed. That is not
y-
happening.
you know.
If he was gonna transfer, he would have done it by now.
Oh yeah, for sure. But Lamar Wilkerson going to Indiana was huge, and honestly, it was a surprise over Kentucky. And Indiana and Kentucky had that matchup this year that they are going to be playing, which will be very exciting. I'm, I'm excited for like these like
Yeah, TJ
matchups where
Walker
they
has already put on Twitter that he's gonna boo Lamar Wilkerson so loud during that game. I'm just like, you're such a cornball. Like I
yeah,
heard, I did hear rumors from an actually decent, credible source that Lamar Wilkerson had already been committed to Indiana before he actually announced it and made it official. But he was
yeah,
just, yeah. So I already heard those rumors, and of course, Kentucky fans were all like, "Oh, so I love just how sold they were that it was going to happen, that he was going to go to Kentucky." And I'm just like, no, I'm hearing these rumors. He might already be committed to Indiana, and then all of a sudden he commits, he makes it official, goes public with it, and it's just like, oh, here we go. I guess those rumors were correct. Kentucky thinks they're just going to be able to get everybody. Such an entitled fan base.
yeah. I know. And arguing with them is hilarious. I was arguing with someone on Instagram. Here's how it went. I'll tell you how it went. So he Well, I said I just like to stir the pot. So I said Pope gets shoved in a locker again because that's what a lot of people say when
Hmm.
they lose like a transfer portal recruiting battle. And someone said, "Well, okay, so in my profile picture, I have Ohio State, but it was like football because I was at a spring game.
Hmm.
Actually, it was a picture with me and Jeremiah Smith.
Yes, I know. You've talked about that. You've talked about that picture about a million times on this podcast.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's gonna go on into freaking the. It's gonna go down into history with that picture. I mean, I get it signed and it goes for millions. But uh,
Jeremiah Smith's going to
so
carry the value of that picture.
of what 100%. And then when this podcast goes viral, then it'd be 2 stars.
There you
When
go. That's one way to look at it.
co-host Ryan Northcutt goes viral, or obviously less too, and then it'd be 2 stars that
Well, I don't
shows
go
up on the
viral
screen.
that
Two
picture. I'm
legends in
I'm
one
not in
picture.
that picture, Ryan. I can't go viral for that
Well,
picture.
but if the Less is More Sports podcast goes viral, that would mean you're viral. But it'd be two legends in one picture. Uh, but someone replied. I'm trying to think of what they said. Someone replied. Okay, this is actually funny. This is a funny reply. Someone replied and said, "You look like in your profile picture someone that would get shoved in a locker." Okay, I am not that small. Okay,
You just look small compared to Jeremiah Smith.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But and then but the guy who replied, it was a Amari Williams fan page. Okay. And so I replied and I said, "Dude, you can't say anything. You made a fan page about another grown man."
Yeah, that's kind of sus, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even revealing yourself because you're revealing Amari Williams.
You're hiding behind your fan base, your fan
Yeah,
page.
a fan page about another grown man who.
And maybe Duke fans don't have a lot of room to talk. There's a lot of Duke fans on Twitter that, be like Con Knipple fan pages and, Tyrese Proctor fan pages, which both are now going pro. Best of luck to them. So I guess Duke fans don't really have a lot of talk, but that's still fair. You're
Yeah, I
hiding
mean,
behind a grown man.
yeah, and then another dude said, "Did your team make the tournament?" And at first I thought he was talking about Indiana because he thought I was an Indiana fan, just talking about Lamar Wilkerson. But then I saw that I was wearing Ohio State in my profile picture, and I was like, maybe he thinks maybe he knows I'm an Ohio State fan. And I was like, no, but we beat you by 20. And then he said it doesn't count basically when our whole team was injured, fluke game. And then I looked back at the game, and they had no injuries that game.
Well,
it's
first of all,
crazy
that's
how
that's a corny argument as it is. There is no such
yeah.
thing as a freaking flute game. That no, like next, I'm a big. That would be like that was like when Louisville fans during the ACC championship game. I shouldn't say Louisville fans. It was one. But one was like we would have beaten Duke if we had, our whole, if we were healthy. It's like that's not a conversation you want because Duke didn't have the best player in college basketball. Duke didn't
Yeah,
have one of the best defenders in college basketball in Malik Malik Brown.
and we were playing fine the whole season without our injured players. So I mean, yeah, all like healthy players played, it would have been much of a more problem for Louisville trying to contain Cooper Flag. So Cooper Flag, I mean, um,
You know, you're just like setting this up for when we actually finally do play a game of one-on-one that I could just, I could 24 zip you right now.
okay, yeah, all right, we're gonna go live on the Facebook Less is More Sports podcast for that. We're gonna go live and show you all the basketball skills of the Less is More Sports.
We're
But
not just podcasters here on the show. We got some hoop skills too.
yeah, yeah. We're athletic podcasters.
And how's
Uh,
it feel knowing that you're going to lose to somebody who's losing his hair?
uh, I'm just not gonna lose.
I
That's
mean, I
just
respect
not.
the confidence, but
It's just not
you might want to ask
not gonna
Pops on this
happen.
one. You're not going to win. Your Pops has seen my
Are you
jumper.
beating him?
Oh,
I've seen
absolutely.
your jumper. I saw a video of it.
No, he's seen it up close.
Oh yeah, did it? Did you hit rim?
No, because I make nothing but net.
Okay.
I don't need to hit rim.
But can you give us
We swishes only around here.
can you give us um sort of early prediction of what Duke's starting lineup you think will be next year in college basketball?
I think right now, given the roster that we have right now,
Yeah,
okay. So right now,
because you could land someone else, which we
yeah,
will
we
see
could.
in a
I
couple days.
think
But
I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's why Shelton Henderson decommitted, and I
yeah,
think that's why Tyrese Proctor went pro. So as of right now, I think our starting lineup's going to be Caden Boozer at the point, Caleb Foster as kind of the off guard combo guard. I think Isaiah Evans is going to be the three, Cam Boozer at the four, and Patrick Gongba at the five. That's going to be Duke's starting lineup next year. Given the team that we have right now, a lot of Duke pages are are very surprising to me. How many of them don't have Caden Boozer in the starting lineup, and I can tell right then and there that they have not seen this guy play up close. Caden Boozer is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most really slept on recruits in the country, which is ironic to say because in the final ESPN rankings he did get that 5 star, but I think personally I think he's a top 10 recruit in my opinion, based on what I've
what
seen.
what is the height difference between them two?
I mean, like 4 inches. Caden's like 6'6" and Cam's 6'10".
Wow. So are you gonna have a relatively tall team next year again too?
The way it looks, yes.
Good man.
Because I mean, as of right now, Caleb's the shortest that would play, and he's 6'5".
Yeah. I'm interested to see. I already said this. I'm interested to see Louisville's last piece, but can't wait to see how Michael Brown does because in USA practices and scrimmages he was cooking, but and like Adrian Woolley, Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, love. Can't wait to see. Are you rolling your eyes at me?
Yes, I am. I
Can't
watched.
wait to see how they perform and we beat Duke next year, no matter where it's at.
Here we go. Even though the game's going to be at Cameron, but
We've won there before.
I mean, I could talk about injuries, but then that would be hypocritical, given what I just said. But no, that was an ironic game because I covered David Johnson when he was in high school, and then that was the game that he really had his breakout moment
He did.
in a Louisville uniform.
He
Yeah.
was. I really liked. I wish he stayed longer, but I really liked David Johnson here.
Yeah, I mean, I like David Johnson. I actually like David Johnson. I actually, talked to him a few times. Really cool guy. But anyways, we got about 3 minutes left before the end of the podcast, so I'm gonna speed round. Um, so I'm gonna speed round, ask you a couple questions, just tell me yes, no,
Gotcha.
or whatever comes to mind. Xavian Lee to Florida. Is this the beginning of the Florida back-to-back tour?
I think it very well could be. I know they're losing a lot of players, but um, I think that they could be up there with the non-red shirting Olivier Roux, my guy.
You want to speak into the mic? Who?
Olivier Roux,
The guy who's gonna get cooked in the
foot
guy who's the
nine guy
the guy who's gonna get cooked in the pick and rolls. That guy.
who stretches on the backboard. Okay, by the
He
way.
stretches on the backboard.
Well, he reaches his arm and stretches using the backboard.
None
So
of
yeah.
that
Next
matters if he
question.
gets
Next
pulled. If he
question.
gets, yeah, none of that's gonna matter. He gets pulled out to the top of the key and gets cooked in that pick and roll. That's what's gonna
They're
happen.
not throwing a pass over him. I can tell you that.
They're gonna have to run 2-3 zone the entire time just
He's
to
going to be
keep
an
him on the
absolute
court.
dog. Just wait.
All right, I'll hold you to it. All right, next question. Pop Isaac's going to Houston. Can he replicate anything close to the success that LJ Cryer had?
I don't know about that, but I know they're getting Emmanuel Sharp back, which is a huge. He just said he's not ending his college career like that, basically. But I don't think he'll be able to replicate LJ Cryer, but I feel like he's the most Houston player of all time. Just the way he looks, his name, like, um, I think that he'll be very good. But I don't know about LJ Cryer. He was a dog.
Fun fact, now with the decommitment of Shelton Henderson, Houston now has the number one ranked recruiting class in college basketball next year.
Look at them.
Look at him. But anyways, we got about a minute left, so before we get run out by the timer, I just want to get in there. As always, like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel to get the latest updates of new content that we have coming out. Be sure to follow our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. That's at Less is More Sports. Also, be sure to follow the side quest on TikTok. That's at BeansDad018. And what are we getting cut off by the timer today?
Um, anything to talk about in sports right now?
There's always something to talk about in sports.
Well, we got the NBA playoffs, but
I mean, my Heat are the first 10 seed to ever make it into the NBA playoffs. Shout out to Tyler Hero. Shout out to Davion Mitchell. I heard Trae Young found out why his nickname is Off Night, because when he guards you, you're gonna have an off night.
Ja had a nasty putback last night.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Awkward silence.
Yeah, Ja Morant, the goat.
What's that? Hey, what's that new celebration he's got going on? I've been hearing a bunch about.